it's much tighter. Right? It's kind of hard to do it sitting down, but I'm pretty good at that, I think, sitting down. Little hard to do now. But anyway, the weapon, right? So you take a dragon nunchuck and you attach like a blade to it here, right? Which makes it completely insanely hard to use because you're gonna kill yourself, right? Using it. Because you're gonna cut yourself when you flip it around. I've tried it as a kid, but it's obviously super dangerous because if you do one mistake, you slice your own body, right? So it's crazy weapon to have. But anyway, it looks really cool though. It's very, very flashy. It is very flashy. Anyway, this did not still explain. So that interview here, this did not explain the backstory, right? I wanna know the backstory. I say it again. I wanna know the backstory. Are these two? Did these demon siblings do it? You know, I'm a hentai. I wanna know the hentai stuff. No, but it still feels weird. You know, like what is happening? Why are they connected? But I guess when they die, we're gonna find maybe next episode. We're gonna learn that, right? If you like this in here though, both Tanjiro and of course Usei is like we gotta kill, you know, the green guy. He's the main bodied, right? Yeah, and Tanjiro's like he smells heavier, so we gotta kill him, right? But I still wonder if I'm not gonna be right, and they both have to die at the same time. Because if you kill him, maybe she can still revive him, right? I think what we're gonna see though, given that they have this tag team battle, I think what we're gonna see is that they probably will die on the same time anyway, right? You know, the boys immediately. So this was like, yeah, owns her with the lightning attack. It means she's like, God damn it, yeah, she lost her head again. I'm keep laughing at it. She becomes like this, like, I don't know, living sandbag where they just keeps killing her all the time. She doesn't die, right? Like, yeah, she just sort of like, oh, I'm gonna kill you guys, and then yeah, he owns her, smacks her away like nothing, and she's like, God damn it, and you know, what do you guys think? Like, I think some people are manga readers. I'm an older, right? So I'm just guessing here, of course. So obviously, you know, I don't have any reference in that sense. But I feel, is she real, right? I'm just like, is Daki real, or is she just like controlled by her brother? Because here his eye, right, goes from his body to her body, right? So he kind of transfers that eye, he closes one eye, sends it to her, and I guess that makes her stronger or something, but she has like a third eye and it makes her look even creepier. But anyway, so her sex appeal goes down though, so that might be a weakness for her. But my point is just that when I saw this scene, right, I'm thinking that maybe she's never real, you know, and I mean real as in that she died when he was, you know, when we were humans, right? And then maybe he just like took her corpse, right, and made that corpse become part of his body, whatever. Yeah, maybe her whole personality is just like his memory of her, him like pretending to be her, right? That's what I'm kind of feeling right now, that she's like a zombie, right? And he is, you know, revive her, or basically she's like an undead sister of his, right? And he's just like controlling her and, you know, making her act like he remembers his sister. And back to that, I haven't seen his flashback yet, but it's gonna be something like, you know, his sister was an Orient prostitute, right? And blah 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 and so on. So he makes her do what she used to do, whatever. And he's the one like controlling her as a puppet, something. Maybe, right? Or I mean, not a puppet, but I think he's controlling her. But maybe she has, you know, it's like a zombie with not free will, but has will, right? So she kind of does the stuff automatically. That he kind of go and sleep with a lot of guys and eat them, and like, okay, you know, and something like that. It really feels like it's gonna come into that now that she's probably dead and wasn't ever turned into a demon in that sense. And maybe though. It feels kind of strange now that it feels like he started talking, right, and she's copied his voice, right, but her voice changed to his voice, and yeah, like her Daki's voice becomes Gutaro's voice, and then he was talking through her, right, so it really feels like she's dead, like Daki was never alive to begin with. I mean, obviously as a human she was alive, but as a Daki isn't, you know, as a real, right? He's just a zombie that he's just controlling, as a puppet from her brother, and her whole personality might just be, again, then he's like, he's pretending, or his memories of her being alive, right? That is my guess. Obviously, it does feel it's coming to that, right? It reminds me, for example, of this is not a big spoiler, it's just a fighting game character immediately. It's called Clover, right? Yeah, Clover in Blast Blue. So Clover in Blast Blue, what is the full name? Whatever. It's a kid. You're playing a kid in this game, right? So Blast is a fighting game from Guilty Gear and Dragon Quest 1 Austin Works. And in that game, you play as a kid. Then one of the characters is a kid. It's like a 10-year-old or whatever. And he has like a mecha sister. He has a big sister that is like his, you know, she looks like his dead sister, right? But she's actually just like a mechanical puppet. And when you play the game, you control her and him at the same time. So it's a very hard character to play because you play two characters at the same time. So yeah, orchestra works are crazy. So it's a very, very arguably the hardest character to play in that game because you're playing two individual characters, more or less. But the storyline, right, is that his sister is dead, right? But he doesn't believe that because he built like a puppet of his sister, and he makes her act like his sister, you know, like he's got puppetering her to himself and acting like she's alive, and it's really freaky in a way. You think about it, and the characters in the lore, it's like, oh, is it sister? He's like, yeah, it's my sister. She's beautiful, right? They're like, yeah, sure, kid. That's not like a mecha or a puppet you have there. It's your sister. He's like, that's my beautiful sister. They're like, yeah. So it's kind of like that a little bit. It's like a creepy kid that thinks his sister is alive because he built her in mecha, right? You know, it reminds me of that. Yeah, it might be the same thing, right? She died and he turned a demon and made her into like a demon undead or something. And everything started exploding, and it's just like, it is a freaking masterpiece of animation. That's certainly it. What can I really say? I'm reviewing it here in this review part. I'm just like, well, it looked amazing. It's like Sakuga. It's like the best thing I've seen this year. I don't know what you guys want me to say. It is straight. It honestly feels like in Demon Slayer, this episode, you're like, as a reviewer, right? You're like, well, it is 11 out of 10 best animation this year. What do you want me to say, right? Like it's about the obvious thing ever. Like, this is just insanely good. You can only say, oh, this is amazing. Yeah, like, it's like too easy to review. It's like 10 out of 10. Damn, you know, no explanation needed, right? You're like, best shit ever. Let's go on. Here's the storyline. Yeah, it's. I feel that I don't talk too much, honestly, about animation in Demon Slayer, right? In this Sakuga stuff. Because I do feel that it's so obvious, you know what I mean? I'm just like, well, it's the best thing I've seen, so I don't know what you guys think. But yeah, honestly, this is definitely, I think, the best animation, right? And so on this season of Demon Slayer. Is it better than episode 19, the beginning? I don't know. It's probably on the same level. I feel it's on the same level as at 19, maybe slightly worse than 19. I think 19 is a little better because it does also kind of end it, right? You know, it's kind of a final, ultimate kind of ending of the whole. If it's a little more ending, because the storyline still matters, even if Sakuga, episode 19, you see Natsu getting his new power and so on, right? It's a little more like power dynamic there. Where in this episode, it looks as good, but I don't really feel like anyone has like evolved a new power or whatever, right? So so maybe from a purely visual standpoint, it's on the same level, but I feel it lacked a little bit of the emotional bit that 19 has. Yeah, 19 is visually the same level, but it has a little more emotion to it, which still matters though. Because I made this argument right a few years ago when we had people comparing the best fight of that year, and it's for Demon Slayer, I believe, 18, 19, whatever, doesn't matter. But anyway, the point was that in that year, people were comparing a Boruto fight, right, with like Naruto or whatever. And people were, oh, it's the best fight or whatever. And the winner, or in the Watch and so on, and people voted for, was the All Might fight from My Academia. And I was strongly for the All Might fight. So I was like, I agree that the Boruto fight looks better from like a visual standpoint. It's a better action scene, whatever. But the All Might scene, I won't try to spoil it here, but I think more people see it. The All Might fight scene is more emotional, right? Yes. If you're only going to review a fight scene purely on the visual, I would say that it isn't the best fight of the year. But if you're going to review it from everything, like the storytelling, the visual, and the emotional weight of All Might fighting there, and I want to spoil, but you know, it happens. So, and yeah, because I cried right watching All Might fight. I was like crying. I was like, weeping like a baby, right? When the All Might fight. So again, this here, for example, looks much better than the All Might fight. It really does, right? But I would still say that I prefer the All Might fight over this thing because while, again, this is visually better and it's better animated and everything, right? Clearly it is. No questions asked, right? But I don't feel it has that emotional weight, right? Like when the All Might kind of, that fight, you know, kind of like that, right? So that's probably why I think that the episode 19 is slightly better because, yeah, it has the emotional weight to it and it looks this good, right? Something like that. Hope that makes sense. No, it's a kind of like kunai shooter shit. Yeah, it was kind of cute. I was like, here she comes with like, yeah, like what is it? Like nunchucks? No, sorry, kunai. I mean, nothing. Kunai launchers. Like what is what is this thing? It reminds me of the Shokunu, I believe it's called, the Korean. So the Korean has this famous launcher weapon, right? Like rocket launcher. Yeah, so the Koreans used this weapon in about... They had also the Dragon Balls in Korea that are breathing fire, but this is about 15th, 16th century, so for a little while there. The Koreans, also maybe even 7th century, but then the Koreans used this like, and I'm butchering the name, but it's called something like Shokunu or something like that, where they were shooting like rock. They have a similar this kind of sign, right? But instead of shooting kunais, they shot basically, you know, like fireworks, right? And they were using it in, you know, in war, right? And actually very effective. It's a very famous Korean weaponry. Of course, I can't pronounce the name for it. I'm gonna Google it. Shukunu Korean rocket weapon. I can find it. It's not the it's also called the Havshar fire cart. Yeah, the fire cart. But I think it's called Shukunu. Maybe the unit is called that. So I played too much civils on it. That's what I'm thinking, right? But I can show you guys here. So this thing actually doesn't look too unbelievable because the Havsha is a similar thing right there. This is a real weapon. This is the real weapon used in South Korea, or Korea, I mean, but yeah, these days. So this thing is similar, right? So you take like all these like rockets in it or arrows because they have two different things. You have the Chinese repeating crossbow. They kind of shoot on the bolts, right? It's like so the Chinese kind of developed the first like machine gun, which is like a crossbow that can shoot several bolts, you know. And Europe has two. You can spin it. You can have shoot more bullets at it, basically. So Europe and China had like a machine gun medieval time, but this thing is better because it shoots like several big shit, right? And you have like this, you even have fireworks in it, right? So you shoot like 10, 20 fire, yeah, like rockets at people, right? It's very effective against, you know, horses and big soldiers, right? So her weapon, yeah, it actually is honestly probably exists in reality, something like that, right? Where you can actually shoot like 10 kunais or whatever. Because that weapon, the Havsha, is basically the same thing, right? It's a Havsha better because it shoots like freaking 20 rockets instead, which is much more effective than kunais, right? So it's actually probably better than what she had. But yeah, it's like an anime version of that, right? And she comes in here and they're poisoned, right? It's a kind of paralyzing power or whatever, as I expected, of course. She's a ninja, so. But I guess the anime thing of this thing, because even if this weapon actually probably could exist, right? Is that you probably would have to be more than one person to carry it. So that makes the anime, yeah, this huge oppa lady is like, I got it all, yeah. In reality, it's probably too heavy to use as one person, right? So probably be like 3 people to use it. But you know, she's a muscular ninja girl, so she can use it, you know. Yeah. But that was nice. It's good seeing his wife doing something because honestly, right? They have been getting owned, right? The wife has been getting their ass kicked, right? Or yeah, kidnapped and so on. So it's nice seeing them finally doing something in battle. Yes, they fought this tactic a little bit, but they didn't really do that much, right? They didn't do that much. So it's nice seeing them pop up here with like some badass ninja shit. The issue, though, I guess, from last time, but it's how was she carrying it? Where was she hiding it in a pantsuit? Yeah, that's the question I have, though, because we saw her earlier and she has no weapon on her. Where was she hiding it? I mean, her bra or pantsuit? She's basically half naked, fighting like a bra, you know. Yeah, she doesn't have much clothes on her. Where was she hiding this weapon? Maybe there's a scene where she has some backpack or something earlier that I can't remember now. So I'm like, where did she like, you know, where did she pull it out from? That's why in my head I was like, she's gonna come up there, right, and like throw a kunai at him, right, you know. But she's like, kunai machine gun. I was like, okay, where did she have that? She's like, out of my ass. Yeah, that's the question though. Where did she pull it up from? But anyway, it's a good episode. Love seeing the wife do stuff. Anyway, guys, that's it for Monday. Oh, sorry, Sunday. Fall asleep. Monday, of course, tomorrow we're watching Sábado Bisco, which is like, I don't know, it has like cyborg hippos and like cyborg snail airplanes and like crabs and shit. It is a very weird anime, and they fight with like mushrooms or something. So it is an anime that it's like, yeah, it's watchable and it's weird. So I keep watching it, and you're thinking this is crazy. And then I said it last week, but it does remind me of Dorohedoro right there. Because of the mushrooms, probably primarily, but also because it's really weird. Like, we're fighting people with, like, weird magics or something. Otherwise, I said it earlier, but I'm working yet on another video, I feel, about freaking what is a protagonist or something, because I made a video earlier this week, right, about Crunchyroll and the whole Aaron is both protagonist, and it really frustrates me that every year people don't still understand, even people watching so much anime and movies and gaming and so on, what is a goddamn protagonist is, right? And then probably the most common fault I see is that people are like, protagonist is the good guy. No, you can write a storyline, right? Following the bad guy, so to speak. You can follow the villain, he's still the protagonist, and so on. So, I don't know. I might make another video about that, where I even go more details, because I was thinking about it this week, because I see people still arguing on Twitter and so on, right? That Aaron is whatever he is and so on. So I kind of want to make a video, maybe tomorrow, or a stream perhaps, where I talk about, other stuff. Star Wars, video games, right? Looking at different protagonists. And for example, one anime in my head was Inuyasha. Inuyasha, it has 2 different protagonists. Every episode keeps going. Episode 1 is like Inuyasha, episode 2 is Hero, and it keeps going back and forth, and then they do fight each other, so there also is antagonists to each other, right? So there are other animes that are much more complicated on the whole who is the main character and so on, right? Where, as they go to example, I think it's quite straightforward who's the main character, and then it's Chase's main character, which is perfectly fine, right? So I think there are other animes that are much more complicated on who is the bad guy, who's the good guy, and so on. I think Titan actually is somewhat streamlined, honestly. I do agree that it gets a little muddy in the end, who's the real main character and so on, who's the protagonist, I guess, in the last season, certainly. But other animes are way worse. And my favorite example is Sega Fontaineer 2, that has like 8 protagonists. It's a video game, and you have like, you're playing as you're the main character, and then he gets a son, and then you don't play as the son, you play as the son's like girlfriend, but you don't basically, after you stop playing as the first protagonist, you start playing as this woman. She's dating kind of ish the son of the first protagonist, but you don't know that. So they're having this like discussion, the flashbacks, and they're talking about his father. And then when you beat this like the first arc with this girl and her party members, then you're following suddenly the son instead, but you don't know his son. He goes home and it's like, that game has like, what is happening? And then you're playing as that guy's daughter, and then she starts dating the grandson of the other protagonist, and it's like, it's like 10 protagonists or something. And you're also playing as antagonist part of the game. You're also playing as the main antagonist for like 10 hours or for like 3-4 hours. That game is like, oh my god, there's like more than 10 protagonists. That's a perfect example of insane complication of who's the main character. The game is like 60 years of time plus, like 65 years. That is a perfect example of, I don't know who's the main character anymore. I guess it is Will, because he comes back as a grandpa playing with his granddaughter and so on. But anyway, that's a video I would probably try to work on tomorrow, trying to explain much more complicated anime and gaming of who's the main character, right? But I will see you guys and have a great day.